Now, in the year 2000, Maharaj had a stroke. He was in London and he had a stroke. And by the time I reached there, Prabhu, the 48-hour critical period was going to end. And at that time, he was paralyzed from the right side. And doctors told us that it's still very critical because, at his age and, with all the difficulty, he may not be able to come out of it. But within 48 hours, actually, Maharaj's hands and limbs started moving. And so when he came out of the stroke and he was able to speak, I was curious and asked Maharaj, when the stroke came, what was in your mind? I mean, were you chanting? Were you able to remember anything? And Maharaj said, the moment the stroke struck me when I was in the room, I first of all thought that I must try to reach the door, but I couldn't and I fell off the bed. And then I thought, why to reach the door anyway? Because death is coming. So Maharaj said, as far as I remembered, I started chanting all the shlokas from Bhagavatam that I remembered. And in between, I started chanting Krishna's names. And then I don't know what happened, and I ended up in the hospital. And in the hospital, the doctors were talking to me, but I could not speak to them. But somehow Krishna was so kind that he kept letting me remember Bhagavatam shlokas. So I kept chanting shlokas in my heart. And so now I'm all right. I can move. And true enough, Prabhu, anyone who saw Maharaj after the stroke couldn't realize that he had even had a stroke, actually. So whenever Maharaj had asthma problems, whenever he had difficulty walking or he was breathless, and if we were around him and we said, Maharaj, please rest, please do something, he would tell us immediately, take out Bhagavatam, turn to any shloka, or turn to a shloka that I was reading. Now read it aloud to me. So he would ask us to read aloud. And after 4, 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes of reading Bhagavatam, we would look at Maharaj and Maharaj would be quite fine. So he said, we are not using Bhagavatam to get better. He told me that. He said, don't mistake, Bhagavatam is not a material tool to enhance health. But Bhagavatam is Krishna. So anytime we have Brahma Sparshanam of Krishna, then our prayer is that in any situation, we should never forget Krishna. That's why we turn to Srila Prabhupada's books. Because Srila Prabhupada's books, in a simple sentence, Maharaj said, will always allow us to remember Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada's books will never allow us to forget Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.